Max?
No, all good. I think you're good to go. So today you are doing some Node.js, right?
Yeah, correct. So if you're able to tune in on our Golang episodes or our Java episodes, they should be along the same lines of as far as the subject goes. It's going to be we're going to get you connected with MongoDB using our driver, and we're going to show you some CRUD operations. But as we progress, as more episodes progress, we're going to get more complicated in what we're working on. So I'll go ahead and switch my screen now. I'm going to switch over to
Yep,
my
already full
browser.
screen. The scene is yours.
Oh, already full screen. Perfect. Yeah, so just kind of a rehash here. This is MongoDB Atlas. This is going to be what I'm using for this particular episode of the stream. This is the cloud version of MongoDB. I already do have it configured. So I'm using an M0 cluster. I have the proper whitelists in place. I also have the URI with my username and password stored as an environment variable on my computer, so that way I never need to expose it during this particular episode. If I click on collections, you'll notice I have one collection. It has or one database and one collection. We're going to be working with a different database and a different set of collections. I'm going to model it more along the lines of what we saw in my Go episode, if you managed to catch that one. So we're going to be working with holiday recipes and how to engage with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go into my code editor. So it should be good. And you'll notice that I'm looking towards my tablet over here on the side just to see if there's anything going on in the chat, because we definitely want to engage with you as well. So I'm using Visual Studio Code. You could use whatever IDE that you feel the most comfortable with. But what I'm going to do is first I'm going to install the MongoDB Node.js driver. So this is just an empty directory that I'm in. What I'm going to say is I'm going to say npm install, and I'm going to say MongoDB, and then I'm going to say -- save. And while we do that, oh, it's already done. I was going to say me and Max can give you spoilers for the Star Wars movie, right?
I haven't
No,
seen it.
we're just joking.
I,
I haven't seen it either, but I do want to see it. So I do have the package installed here. I'm going to clear my terminal. And first, before I continue, is my editor large enough? Maybe Max or somebody in the stream wants to comment on that, because I definitely want it to be visible. Looks good? All right, perfect. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to say touch. I'm just going to say main.js. And the touch command, if you've never seen it before, all it really did was created a JavaScript file in my project. You could right-click it and say new file, or do whatever you feel comfortable with. And I realize that you can't see my my mouse clicks, I don't think. Just Max, stop me if I start waving my mouse on the screen, because I don't think people can see it. So the next step here is, well, we want to establish a connection to our Atlas cluster. We need to import that driver that we just installed, and we need to define our Atlas URI. So first of all, let's get that driver included in our code. We can say constant. I'm going to call it Mongo client, and I'm going to say require MongoDB, because that's the package that we just installed. And we're going to use the Mongo client class that's inside of that particular package. So with Mongo client available to us, now we can actually create a new instance of it, and that's where we define our Atlas URI, which, as I previously mentioned, is stored as an environment variable on my operating system. You could pass it in however you want. You could hard code it. I probably don't recommend hard coding it in your applications, because then not only might it be exposed to somebody else, but you have to remember to update it, or you have to worry about committing it to GitHub or things like that. But we can say constant, we can say client, we can say equals new Mongo client. I'm going to extract the Atlas URI that I have in my environment variables. I'm going to say process.env. I'm going to say Atlas URI. And we also need to pass in an object, because we're using Atlas or a more modern version of MongoDB. So we're going to pass in an option. We're going to say use unified topology true. So we have our client. Doesn't necessarily mean, though, that we're connected to our database. We just have a client defined. So what we want to do is we actually want to establish a connection to our cluster now. Now, JavaScript does things in an asynchronous fashion. So when we do a connection, we're going to be working with either callbacks or
sorry,
promises.
Nick, I missed it.
And I'm going to show.
Use unified topology? What does it mean?
Yeah. So in terms of what it means. So and there's probably more to it because my understanding, I'm still very new at this, but it uses the new server and monitoring method that MongoDB offers.
So it's MongoDB plus SRV, that DNS capability, right?
I think so. I think so. I mean, do you know more on it than I do?
But like, what do you have in your Atlas URI? It's the it's the URI you get from Atlas, right? So it contains the MongoDB plus SRV entry, right? If you don't put the use unified topology, then it doesn't work.
It won't work, but what it'll do, because the driver is really nice to us, is it'll say in the logs that, hey, you need to be using this option. So I've just jumped ahead and I've added it for us.
So basically it means that with the new connection string, you actually connect to a DNS server instead of going directly to the MongoDB servers. So they kind of act as a proxy to deliver the MongoDB configuration, the MongoDB seed list. And then, of course, you connect straight to the MongoDB servers, but you retrieve the seed list from the DNS server. So it means that if you have to change a server, for example, an IP address, or you have to replace a server because you're doing maintenance or whatever, you're deploying, for example, you are moving your servers from, I don't know, San Francisco to New York for some reason, it means you don't need to change your Atlas URI. It's still the same, but the DNS server will be reconfigured automatically for you on Atlas. So that's really what's happening in the background.
Yeah, that's a pretty in-depth answer. From what I think I heard somewhere that this is actually going to be baked into just the core constructor here, so that way it won't be needed in future versions of the driver. Don't quote me on that. I know that the Go driver doesn't use this. Well, it might, but you don't have to use it manually. I don't know if Java, do you use this in the Java driver?
Definitely.
You do have to define it.
No, you don't need to, because it's automatically recognized. But
you
don't need to restart if you move your MongoDB server, you don't need to restart your Java application or whatever. It's just gonna follow whatever the DNS server is supplying.
Yeah, makes sense then. So I have my client. Let's try to connect to MongoDB. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say client.connect. I'm going to use just a promise for now. So I'm going to resolve the promise. I'm going to use then, and I'm going to work with the result. And we're going to change this up slightly as we progress. So if this was successful, result will be some value. Otherwise, the error rejection of this promise will happen. And in which case, I'll just say console.error. Error. Now, if it was successful, maybe we want to start things off like saying, well, let's print out what result is. Maybe we can start there. So I'm going to say console.log, and I'm going to say result. And maybe just for the sake of sanity, let's go ahead and run this and see what we end up with. So I'm going to say npm, actually I'm going to say node main.js. So it printed out a lot of information. It looks like we're good. There's other functions that we can call to test our connection. So let's see what we end up with. What we're actually going to do is we're not going to worry about any of this. We're going to go straight into working with our database now. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say constant database equals, and I'm going to say client.db. And I'm going to define the database that we want to use. So I'm going to call it Twitch. And you'll notice that in Atlas, when I showed you earlier, this Twitch database didn't exist. If it does, great, it will use it. If it doesn't, it will go ahead and create it. We also want to define the collection that we want to use. So I'm going to say constant collection equals database.collection. And in this case, I'm going to follow along and I'm going to say recipes, like I mentioned earlier. So this is going to be recipe related content. So we have a collection. Now at this point in time, and just to reiterate here, if recipes doesn't exist either, it'll go ahead and be created. I'm looking at the comments here. Perfect. Is it being recorded? Yes. This Twitch does record it for us, and we are going to upload it to YouTube shortly after. The next step. So we have a collection to work with. Obviously, we don't have any data in it yet, so we probably want to create some. And this is where we can choose to change things up. So we could continue to use promises like this, where we say then we could even chain these promises together. This is standard JavaScript stuff. Or we can make use of a modern async and await, which is definitely my preference when it comes to doing business. So I'm going to make some small changes here. So I am going to do the following. I'll just put it below. I'm going to say async. I'm going to create a function here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a slight adjustment here. And this is JavaScript stuff. I'm just optimizing it a little bit to make our lives a little easier when it comes to this application. But I'm going to say await client connect. And then if that's successful, what I'm going to do is paste this in. And I'm going to comment that out. So this would be more or less the same thing. So now we're doing an await. It's waiting for the promise to resolve here because it's an asynchronous function, and we can work with our database and collection shortly after. So it's up to you. This is going to be my preference going forward, but this is just JavaScript stuff, less so MongoDB. Next up, let's go ahead and insert a document. So let's add some data to our database, so our recipes collection. So let's go ahead and say maybe collection dot insert. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to insert one document. We can explicitly insert many after, but this means that we're just going to insert one. So I'm going to say insert one. We're going to provide first of all the document, and it's going to respond with our promise. So we're going to say, what do we want our recipe to be, Max? For this particular document.
Chocolate cookies.
Chocolate cookies. Perfect. And what are the ingredients for chocolate cookies? Or good chocolate chip or good chocolate
Probably
cookies?
some eggs, some flour, some chocolate chips.
Chocolate. Let's leave it at that for now, right? We're going to make some adjustments to this as we kind of progress. So this, like I said, returns a promise. So we probably want to handle the result. So what I can do is I can say something like constant result equals await, because we're going to follow the same strategy of await throughout rather than having to chain our promises together. And let's go ahead and say maybe console.log result dot. And actually, I'm actually using the variable. No, I'm not actually. I take that back. I thought I was still using from on line 5. I had result up there, but I'm not. So this is the first instance of result. So result dot maybe inserted ID. So we're going to get the ID of the inserted document. I'm going to save it. I'm going to end the application, and what I probably want to do now, because you saw that it didn't terminate on its own, is maybe I want to say client dot close. So we're gonna close our connection to the database after everything's done. So let's run it again. So I'm going to say node main.js. It printed out an ID, so that looks promising. So let's go ahead and go in the browser here. I'm going to refresh. It looks like we have a Twitch database now, which is good, and a recipes collection. And inside of that collection, we have a single document, which is great. So this looks like exactly what we did, right, Max?
Yep, all good. Well, you have the extra underscore ID, right? But that's obvious.
Yeah, because we didn't explicitly define define an ID. So what it did for us is the driver created one for us automatically,
Exactly.
right? Yep. We could define an ID if we wanted to. We're not at the mercy of the driver creating it for us automatically. It's up to you. So let me jump back into the code. Let me find it. All right, perfect. All right, so we have data. Now maybe we want to query for that data. So maybe we want to find our documents, which is in this case is just one document for now. But let's go ahead and say, and we'll comment this out because I don't want it to insert 10 chocolate chip cookies, right? So I'll comment that out for now. What we're going to say is we're going to say let recipes cursor equals await collection dot find. So by saying find, what we're going to say is we're going to find any documents that match this particular filter. So even though that we only have one document, if there was more than one document that matched our filter, they would be returned. If we only wanted to return one document, we can say find one instead. But we're going to say find. For this filter, I'm just going to say, you know what, return all documents in this collection. I'm going to leave it blank. I'm going to leave it as an empty object. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert the cursor into an array. So I'm going to say let recipes equals await recipes cursor, and I'm going to say to array. And we're going to look at other options when it comes to doing this as well. I'm going to say to array, and I'm going to say console.log recipes, and I'm going to run it, and we're going to see what we end up with. So I'm going to say node main.js, and it printed out an array, even though that we only had this one document. Now, this to array, what it's doing is it's getting all of the documents from our find, and it's immediately converting them into an array, which is fine if you probably don't have too many documents. If you realize that you have a lot of documents that are going to be returned in this particular find, you may want to iterate over the cursor instead. So get your documents in batches. So that is up to you to decide, but let's go ahead and say that you've decided that you have a lot of documents that are coming back. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at what it would look like to iterate over the cursor rather than just dumping them all to an array. Let's go ahead and say the following. Let's go ahead and say while, let's go ahead and say await recipes cursor dot has next. So what we're saying here is we're saying let's loop through the cursor for as many times that the has next actually recognizes that there's a document to be found. It returns a promise, so we have to use await. And what we're going to do is we're going to say let recipe equals await recipe cursor dot next. And we're going to print out the recipe. So we're going to say console.log, and we're going to say recipe. Because I commented out recipes on line 27, let's go ahead and comment out line 32. And I'm going to clear it, and I'm going to run it. And you can see that it printed out. I did print out an array because I'm looping through actually that result set in a cursor. So it's just returning the object. If I had more objects or more documents returned in that find, it would just print them out continuously. Let me just have some water here. Just checking if there's any questions. Definitely, if you have questions, definitely please ask them. We want to make sure that everything sounds good to you.
I just said that in the chat actually.
All good, Max? Yeah. We'll keep reiterating it. We want this to be an interactive kind of experience. All right. So we've just printed data. What's next, Max?
I guess.
What should we do? Should we insert many, or should we work on the next stage of
the projection, just so people know what it is and how to use it?
What do you mean?
The projection in the find to just filter out, the the fields you want to see,
Oh
the
yeah,
ones you
yeah,
don't want, etc.
yeah, yeah. So let's add a filter here. Let's go ahead and add maybe an equality filter, so a
Oh,
direct match. Or
no,
is
no, I
that
mean
not
the
what you're referring
projection, which
about?
should be the second argument in your refine function. I guess that's how it works in.
Are you referring to like sorts and
No, no,
stuff,
the
or maybe I'm
projection. Like for
the
example, if you don't
terminology
want
I'm
the underscore ID in the output.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So when it comes to Node,
Can you see the signature of find?
I don't know.
It's probably here.
Yeah, hold on. I don't know if I've ever because JavaScript is definitely not my primary language. So let's see if we can figure this out. So it looks like we have
So
just
you
the
have
filter
filter
query.
query.
So
Cursor. Alright, so there is probably something you can queue after on the cursor maybe to say like dot projection. Like there's probably a method for projection or something like that after the find. Let me find that for you.
yeah, I mean, I could pull up the web browser real quick, and we could just do a Google search. Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know how to do that with Node.
Me neither, because I'm a
We could
Java
try it. What
person.
were you
I'm
thinking?
a good person, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
good person. I don't know about that with Java.
First roll of today. Um, Let me
Yeah,
see
first
that
scroll.
projection. Da, 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 da. Example. Yeah, apparently you can pass a second parameter.
Really? Let's give
I
it a
don't know
try.
why
All
you
right.
don't
So we
see it
only
in the
want to
doc,
maybe
but yeah, you
return.
put comma and then you put like underscore
Oh,
ID.
it's coming. Yeah, it's coming up now. That's weird. It
All
didn't
right,
come
yeah,
up before,
yeah,
right?
it
Or
wasn't
am I
there.
going crazy?
That's weird. All right.
Yeah. So what we can do is we can define what fields we want to come back in that result. So maybe we only want the name to come back, right? So we would set name to 1,
Yeah, for
right,
example.
Max?
Maybe you want to hide the underscore ID, for example,
Or
because you don't need it in your website. I don't know, something like that.
yeah,
You can do whatever, really.
set that to 0, right? So let's give it a try then. We're both learning something new
Yep.
today, right? Oh, it didn't seem to work. What does it look like I did wrong, Max?
Uh, Looks like what's happening? What's not working? I don't get it.
It looks like
Oh,
we
yeah,
still
you mean
have the ID
everything
and
came
the
back.
ingredients back.
Hmm. Trav Mitchell in the chat was saying exactly the same thing, where the second object is a projection. So
Yeah.
looks like we had it.
Yeah, that's usually how it is. But
Mm.
the IntelliSense here was tricking us.
Mm. Hmm. Maybe it's single quote around. I don't know. Is it single quote or double quotes in JSON in Node.js?
It usually
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
that's what I expected. Hmm.
Let's just try that
Um,
for the heck of it.
yeah, give it a shot, because in the MongoDB example, it's
Yeah,
single quotes apparently.
yeah, it didn't seem to do anything. It's probably something silly that we're overlooking, right? We could try single quotes just for laughs here. I don't think it's going to do anything.
Hmm.
And if it does, then I'm going to be very, very surprised.
Maybe somebody in the
Yeah,
chat
no.
can help us. Any ID? That's weird, because it should work.
Yeah,
You have the latest version of the driver, I guess. It's probably not that.
I should. Yeah, if I look at my package lock and everything somewhere. Oh, I
Maybe
didn't create a package.main file. I didn't
can you
didn't
remove
initialize.
the ID
That's
underscore
my
ID
mistake.
0, maybe just in case, just to check something?
I wouldn't stress out too much. We could always. We have some comments in the. There's a little more to it. We have to define. There's a nested object in there. Projection.
I don't see that in the doc. That's
Thanks.
oh, maybe not in the latest version.
Little JWAR.
Which version are you using?
It's possible. I don't know. I didn't initialize my package.json correctly. So let me. I'm using
I was looking at the old
3.4.1.
version of the doc. Maybe that's why. Right.
Yeah, this should work out.
Oh yeah,
Though.
3.4. I
Let's
was
go
looking
ahead
at
and
old stuff reference.
yeah, that looks better, right?
Yeah, perfect. All right. I was looking at the old doc, so I just
All
linked the
right,
old doc
thanks.
in the chat. Let me find the new
Good
stuff.
good looking out in our chat here. It's
Yep.
definitely
Thank you very
interactive.
much.
We don't know everything. But yeah, so this would be the projection that you're talking about,
Exactly.
right, Max? Awesome. And it should work with the cursor as well. Me having done that shouldn't make any kind of difference at all. Let's move on to the
Oh,
update.
and there is
Let's try to
another way
update
to do
this.
that. So,
Oh,
if you do, yeah, yeah,
with
if
Node.
you just so comment line 26, so we can just keep this one because it works.
Yeah, I'll actually clone the
And
lines
yeah,
here.
yeah, comment and clone it, and you do the find, and then you had dot project after that. That's what I was like. I expected something like that. So cut
So
this.
yeah, all right. And now we can
Yeah,
actually
dot
define the.
project. Yeah, and then you can just copy
Let's
paste your
try it.
object without the projection thing. So you can just say name
Let's
one,
just
for
say.
example.
Yeah, let's try it. Oops. All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually good. I think I would
Yeah,
actually
and it
prefer this
works
way
like
to do
that as
it
well. Okay, so that's what I was expecting.
than
So they
that.
changed
But
apparently since version 2.1 that I linked. If you look at this version of the doc, which is the latest you are using, 3.4 apparently, that's better, and that's what you have in the doc.
oh, you were
Yeah,
looking at
it's the one I
2.1?
had in Google for some reason, like the
That
first one that pop out.
all right. Yeah, that's all right. That seems pretty ancient. But no, it makes sense though that
Yep.
it wouldn't work. So let's try to do an update here. Let's continue down the CRUD. We saw an insert or a create. We saw a retrieval. Let's try to update that document. So let's go ahead and say that maybe we want to say let. Actually, we'll just let update results maybe equals await. We can say collection dot update. And we can choose to do update one, update many. It's a similar concept for the finds as well as the inserts. It's do we want to work with one single document or 0 or 1 documents, or do we want to work with potentially more than that? Because with an update, we're either going to be updating, in the case of an update 1, it's going to be either 0 because the filter didn't match, or 1 versus update many where 0 because the filter still didn't match, or however many documents match that filter. Right, Max?
Yeah, that's correct.
Or was that super confusing?
No, that's correct.
So let's go ahead and say maybe update update 1. We only have 1 document in our collection right now. But let's go ahead and define that filter. So the filter in this case, let's just go ahead and match it directly on the name. So we're going to say name chocolate cookies. And for the update criteria, so what exactly is going to happen when that filter matches? We're going to worry about our update query. So let's for one, maybe what we do is we say set instead of chocolate cookies, we say chocolate chip cookies. So, and I did that wrong totally. So we're doing a set, but we need to define what we're going to set. In this case, the name.
Yep, indeed.
But also let's take this to the next level. So in our actual data in Atlas, and I'll switch to the browser here. We have eggs, flour, chocolate chips. Those cookies might not taste very well. We probably want some sugar in there as well, right? So let's try to add to this array. So we're going to update the name of the recipe, and we're going to add to the array that's inside that document. So let's go back into the editor. and I'm going to add another update option here, an update operator. So let's go ahead and say that we want to, and this is in the way I can't see what I'm typing. Let's go ahead and say add to set, and I'll explain what this does in just a second. So add to set, basically what we're saying is we're going to add to whatever property or field that we add in here, but don't do it if it already exists. So this is different from, say, push, whereas we would just push items to our array or our field, regardless if they exist or not. But add to set will not do it if there's a duplicate. So in this case, we have ingredients.
For unicity,
yeah, so we have ingredients. In this case, sugar is our ingredient that we want to add. So in this case, if sugar already exists, then nothing will happen. This particular operation won't do anything. Whereas if we did push, it would add it regardless if sugar was there. And there's a whole selection of update operators that you can choose from beyond just set and add to set. It's all listed in the documentation. And this is not specific to Node.js. It's just the Mongo query language in general. So we have our update results potentially. If there was a match, what we can do is we can print them out. So we can say console.log. In this case, maybe I want to say this is a update one operation. And when the update is done, we can say update results. And we can check out the modified count. So how many documents were modified. We also have the option to look at the match count. So how many documents were matched based on our filter. But we're going to be looking at the modified. And I'm going to save it. I'm going to run it. So I'm going to say node main.js. It printed out again because that's what we still have happening before the update. But it also says that our update one updated one document. So the maximum that update one could possibly do. And if we go to our browser again, just to see what we have happening, I did a hard refresh of the page. We could easily hit this refresh button in the corner. But let's look at the array. And we now have sugar added to that array. We also have the name that changed. So that update one operation worked as expected. Let's go back into our
So I have
editor.
a suggestion for you now. Could you do the same thing but with an object ID? Because usually it's really confusing. Like every time I struggle to do an update by using the object ID instead of using the name as you did. Because with a string it's trivial, but when you use the object ID it's a bit less trivial.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because if we, and I'll go back into my browser scene here. Because if we're looking at this ID, in this circumstance, it's an actual object ID, but it doesn't have to be an object ID, right? It could be a string.
So I think you have to do
so we have to
underscore ID, new object ID, something like that, to be able to reach this document using the object ID.
Yeah, and it's different on a language per language basis, but that's kind of the gist of what's happening. So let's go ahead and say ID, and let's see if we can figure this one out. So we can say maybe. And I think I actually have to scroll to the top, and I have to grab instance of this. So I can say constant, maybe Mongo equals require. And I honestly have never done this before because I'm not a regular with Node.js, but I believe we need to look at Mongo in this import that I just did.
Imported by default? You mean like all the? No, it's not classes. But
no. So this specific on line 1, I'm just looking at the Mongo client. I've skipped over every other class that might exist inside of MongoDB. It's a JavaScript thing. I could have easily said Mongo, and then I could have said like Mongo dot whatever there. Yeah. So we have Mongo now. Let's go ahead and see what's here. Is there an object? Yeah. So there's an object ID. I think you could use probably either of those. Looks like it's just an alias. And then what did that take as a parameter? Anything?
Probably a string with a representation of what you have
Yeah.
in your terminal.
Yeah, so let's grab it. Yeah, let's grab it here. So I pasted it in. Let's go ahead and change this back into, let's go ahead and say that this is cookies. Make it even simpler. And we're going to leave sugar in there too. I'm going to run it. Looks like the update happened, so that probably works. So let's go ahead and go look at the browser and make sure everything looks good. So I'm going to refresh. And it did. So just to reiterate on what we did inside of our code.
And you don't have two sugars because of the add to set, right?
Yeah, because of the add to set. If it was a push, I'd have two sugars in there. But yeah, we worked directly with the object ID. This is useful if maybe we're doing a find first and we want to maybe update specific documents because maybe name that I had earlier was not unique. You never know. There's a different use case for everything, right, Max?
And how do you do an upsert now? So let's say you wanted to do an update. Like I wanted to add some sugar in my lemon pie. And that document does not exist yet, so it would have, like, if I want to confirm and to make sure that I have this lemon pie receipt in my collection, I would have to use an upsert. Do you know how to do that in Node.js?
We can try.
I have no idea actually. I'm a absolute JavaScript trash, so I'm the best client for that actually.
I'm just relying heavily on the IntelliSense here that's failed us previously to see if there's an upsert.
I would say it's well, usually it's an option in the update. Well, usually that's how it works. At least that's how it's done in Java. So I expect something similar, as all the drivers are supposed to be similar.
Well, let's see if there's any kind of parameters that follow after that. No, I don't know. That's a question I probably won't be able to answer on this particular episode because of my not being an expert with Node.
Chat, yeah. So yeah, it's a third.
I do have the
third parameter.
Oh, the community is on top of it. All right, so it's a third parameter, kind of like what we saw for the projection. Then we can give it a try and see if it works.
So yeah, go for it. Just copy paste what you have, like copy paste the set, for example.
Yeah.
The whole thing, and we can just update.
All right, so let's go ahead and say, probably don't need the let anymore. Let's go ahead and say update 1. What should we have for the filter? We probably don't want to leave the ID there. Should we have the name of the document? What are you thinking?
Sorry, yeah, say so
you
name
want lemon pie,
and then you try to. So you can't set the name, but you can add like ingredients.
Why wouldn't we be able to set the name?
Because you did it already. You have it like it's gonna be absurded with the
in the filter. In the filter. So you think this would fail if I left it there? Or do you know it will fail?
Sorry, I mean the chat at the same time.
It's a question for you, Max. Oh, sorry, it's all good.
Yeah, we can play with the set on insert as well if we're using that. Okay, so yeah, so you have the name already in the find query, so the name will be picked up from there. So you can say add to set for an ingredient like lemon, for example.
Yeah, let's try it. Oops, I think I removed too many. Did I? No.
Okay, so add to set some lemon or sugar. It's up to you, and you need the option at the end.
Yep, let's give it a try.
And you can give it a try to like Nanfu said. You can try the set on insert. So I guess right.
Oh, you don't want me to do upsert true?
Yeah,
like what came back in the chat? were you asking me to add something else?
And yeah, and in the next to the dollar add to set, you can add the dollar set on insert and add something else, like a different field, like comment
Oh, all
five
right.
star or something like that, just to say, just to confirm it actually works.
Yeah. So we can say we can add another field here, given the flexibility of BSON, right? So we can say 5 stars, right? Is that
Yep,
what you were talking
exactly.
about, Max?
I'm trying to multitask. It's starting to
All right,
be
let's give it a try.
tough for me. Right, looks good to me.
I know. It's all good. All right. Yeah. I'm glad that there's people are following along in the comments though. It definitely makes it a nice experience. Let's go and say main.js. Uh, 0. That doesn't
That,
look too promising. Let's see what we ended
no,
up
that's
with.
because
Maybe I
you
just
have an
printed something
upsert,
wrong.
not an update. So you need to change the modified count. It's the upserted count, I think, at the end.
Hold on 1 second. What was that? Oh, modified count. So you think this is
It's probably upserted count,
upserted
something like
count?
that.
Yeah, there you go. All right, before I run it again, let's go ahead and see if anything actually went into
Yeah, but
into
maybe
Atlas
delete it
here.
if you want to confirm that it worked.
Yeah, so it did add it, and we can go ahead and delete it. It added that comment too, added sugar. It even added the name because that's what was matched on the filter. So let's go ahead and delete it, and we'll try to do it again just for sanity's sake. All right, and that should really say upserted, but we get the idea,
Yep.
right?
Well, you
Up,
are
and you don't
still on
actually see what
Atlas.
I see on my screen. There
Yeah.
you go. All right, well, it looks like updated 1,
Yep.
so that's
Good.
good. And I just changed the text here. So let's do the final operation of delete. Bring this to a close, so that way you kind of have the fundamentals of CRUD with Node.js. And then, like I said, as we progress through these Twitch episodes, we're gonna get more complex in what you can do with MongoDB. It's definitely not going to be basic. This is just a kind of getting started to put you on the right path kind of thing, right,
Exactly.
Max? I mean, we were discussing the other day. You have quite a few pretty cool items in your pipeline as far as what you want to show on this
In
stream,
the
right?
episode 100, we are planning to build a rocket, so stay tuned.
I love it, love it. All right, let's look at the delete now. Let's go ahead and say collection dot delete. Maybe this time around we'll just say delete many in case multiple documents match our filter criteria. So far as the filter goes, let's just go ahead and say name. I always like to put stuff in
I have
quotes. I know it's
another
not
idea.
necessary.
Sugar is bad for
Uh,
your health, so you can remove everything that contains sugar.
yeah, all right. So let's figure out that filter
Ingredients,
then.
sugar. That's it.
So in this case, oh yeah, all right. It'd be different though if you wanted to say if it includes sugar
Yeah,
and
it
flour
would
though, right?
be. You would have to
Has
use
to.
the dollar in, I think.
Yeah. Sugar, I think I capitalized it. I think it is
Yep,
case
it is.
sensitive. So we'll say sugar. In this case, it should delete both of our desserts here. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say let delete result equal await. So that way we can print out how many were deleted. So I'm going to say console.log. I'm going to say delete many. And I'm going to say delete result dot deleted count. And let's see what we end up with.
So your upsert should say
Perfect.
0 now,
So
right? Yep, perfect.
yeah. So it deleted 1. I think we have Oh yeah, because we don't actually have sugar
Yeah,
in the
because
lemon
it's
pie.
a light
We have
lemon pie with
lemon.
just lemon in it, right? It's a pure lemon pie.
Uh, I think that's something I wouldn't want to eat. Oh, I don't know. Some of the lemons you can buy are or
Yeah,
grow are
we don't
pretty
have
sweet
Ken online,
naturally.
right? So you can't, you can't just say things, because he's a chef, So I just put lemon in my
Oh,
lemon
is
pie.
he?
That's
Is
it.
he
It's
watching?
and sounds simple, right?
Yeah. So it looks like the cookies were removed. So now let's do one more operation. Rather than deleting documents based on a filter, let's just go ahead and drop the collection entirely through code. So the difference here is that we're not only deleting the documents that might exist in that collection that's being removed, but any indexes or other meta information that might exist as well, even though that we didn't technically explore creating indexes in this particular stream.
Oh, we can do that in a minute. Excellent
All right,
transition.
we can try it. Sure, why not? Yeah, why not? So let's go ahead and say collection dot drop, and basically what this is going to do is if it
You're
fails, it's
still on
going to return an
the
error.
Atlas.
And oh man, all right, you got me. I'm back. So I did collection dot drop, and throughout this code, I mean, because I'm not using the promise like we saw on lines 6 through 12, where I'm specifically handling the error. I'm doing bad code here. I'm not actually catching any errors. I'm only assuming that everything was working correctly. I could easily throw this into a try catch block, and that would be the correct way to do business. But if this drop fails, an exception will be thrown, and we would, in theory, catch it with our try catch block. But I'm not going to do
you
that
you
right
have
now.
Nafo in
So I'm
the
just going
chat who
to.
says we can count some documents, like count all the dessert with sugar.
Yeah, I think I mean you could do that with the CLI. I assume you could do that with Node as well. It might be as
I think
easy
there
as
is a
just
dot
saying,
count function, just like dot find.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let's see, where's my
I
find
think you
here?
need to insert the cookies back because we kind
Yeah,
of killed the cookies.
we did. All right, let's uncomment this. Too much. And then we have, I mean, I think, let's see, dot count. Yeah, there's a dot count. So we could count that if we wanted to.
That I think that the
Um,
count you are just if you do that you are counting the items in the cursor, but you have to retrieve all the documents to do that, which is less efficient. That's what I think. So I think you can just do a collection.count
uh,
directly, which is more network efficient.
oh, you think so? Oh, you're right. There's a count
What I
on the
would assume.
collection. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so in that circumstance, it would be more efficient versus getting the count on the cursor itself.
Well, it's not
All
that a
right,
big
but
difference
I'll.
because you are not consuming the cursor in if you just you just retrieve a
Yeah.
cursor and you just count the document in it. So you are not doing all the get more. If you have like a 1 terabyte document, you are not retrieving the 1 terabyte document just to count them. I think
Yeah.
if it's optimized, that's what I assume. It probably is.
Yeah. Um, what was I just gonna do? I just forgot
So
what
you
I was
were
doing.
counting the documents. Maybe you want to print the output. I don't know if you did.
I didn't. I
Oh,
actually
well,
removed it. I can. I mean, if we're dropping it right here, I didn't run the drop
yeah, just
operation
before the
yet. I
drop
can,
maybe.
but just before the
Or
drop.
maybe
All
before the
right,
delete.
let's go ahead and check it
Yeah,
out.
before the delete actually. So you can just count all the receipts with sugar. So you can copy paste and use the same filter from the delete mini.
So do you want me to count what's a cursor with sugar, or do you want me to count the collection entirely?
You can. So the query from Nympho was to do um, to count the receipts with sugar in it. So just the same
Yeah,
filter you have in the delete mini.
yeah, yeah. This user's recommending the matching group, which is good. I just didn't want to get into that yet for this particular episode. That's a whole nother topic. I
Yeah,
think the aggregation stuff. So I don't want to spoil all the fun with that. But we'll get to it
probably
soon,
gonna do it in the next episode.
right,
Yeah.
Max? Yeah. So
Yeah.
you want me to count it though? All right. So let's maybe say let count equals uh, await collection dot, and we do want to do the find one, the find.
You can't count directly?
I know. Do you want to count? You want to find out all the documents
No,
then
you can say
inside the
count
collection,
and
right?
pass a query, I assume.
Count. Oh, no, I don't.
At,
I
at
don't think
least
so.
you
It
can
doesn't
do
look
it in
like it.
Mongo shell, so that's what I was assuming. You could pass a filter just like in a find. No?
Yeah. So I can do that with the find, or I could. In this case, I think it's counting the collection. So just without any kind of
So
filter
in the
criteria.
alright,
So
so
if I
in the
want to do
count you don't
find,
have
I
directly
can set.
the right to pass a query?
Um, no, it didn't give me that as an option. I think this is the way that you're supposed to do it. See how I attached count to the end of our find, so we're counting the cursor.
That's
I it didn't look like it, so I mean I'll try it
sorry
again.
now.
Oh, now it's showing up. All right, so this maybe I need to update my Visual Studio Code. It didn't show
Cool,
up
that's better.
prior, so very weird today. Let's go ahead and add that filter. So we're going to say
hmm
ingredient sugar, and let's print it out. And let's go ahead and give it a try. Deprecated. Uh, count documents is what we want to use. Um, we could try that. Count documents, and it also did print out 0 as our count, which is
Oh no, you have to
interesting.
use
So let's
you have count documents, yeah. I think that's the way to do.
yeah, let's try it. No, it's still 0. I do have one with sugar, right? No, oh, I remember now. This one didn't have sugar at the start.
Um, but you do update it at some point, no?
No, I commented that
Oh.
out. We switched it up. Wait. Oh no, no,
Oh,
it's not
you
cookies
changed
though.
the ID. That's why.
It's
You have a new ID because you dropped everything, so you have a new ID now.
yeah. Let's just change that back to name, and let's go and change this back to chocolate chip cookies. All right, I think we're doing better now. Yeah. So there was one with sugar. So
Cool.
that did work. And I don't think it was because I was using a deprecated command. I think it was just because our documents weren't what we thought they were. But definitely use count documents instead.
Yep, all good.
Uh, and at the end of this, I mean, it should be dropped if I go back to my browser. Shouldn't be anything there. I'll
That would be
refresh.
reassuring.
Yep, it's gone. So looks like everything worked out as planned. So I think that's kind of all that I have. I mean, we're at the top of the hour. I don't know if we want to jump into indexes or save that for a
We can say
future
that for a
stream.
future stream.
I think it might be best for a future stream. That's a good topic on its
So we
own.
wanted to
I
discuss
think.
maybe some of our events coming soon.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll let you take yours because yours is coming up sooner than
Can you
mine.
browse to the website just to show everybody all the .locals we have coming soon?
Yeah, yeah. Let me bring it up. All right. So I guess I'll take it. So we do have some .local events for MongoDB coming up. The first of which is coming on January 14th in Paris, so Max's territory.
I
So
will
if you want
definitely
to
be there.
meet Max,
Yeah,
are you going to be at that one?
I am in this conference, and I'm speaking as well with one of our clients actually from Paris, a big client in Paris. I'm going to talk about
What
MongoDB Atlas.
what's the topic? Atlas. All right, perfect. Any kind of development, or is you want to give any hints, or is it a secret?
Well, the client is a heavy user of MongoDB Atlas. They have like 150
Yeah,
clusters running, something like that. They're really
yeah,
heavy users. They have a lot of throughput and a lot of cool stuff to show about Atlas and how they use it and what they do with it, and how like they're a really good testimony of how it simplified their daily life for the coding and for restoring clusters and for the development as well for a lot of things. So it's gonna be cool.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I'll be at the San Francisco event. So
Cool.
this is my territory. So I'll be at San Francisco. I actually have a session that I'm doing. It's going to be on Alexa development with Go and MongoDB. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff and you're in the area, you can come to that one. And we do have a promo code for you,
Yep.
right, Max? It's social. So if you try to sign up for any of these events and you use the promo code social, not SoCal,
hmm
social, so S O C
Maybe you can
I A
show them
L.
where to put it.
Um, I honestly don't know
So I
myself
think
because
click
I
on
haven't registered.
Paris, or yeah, what this one? You say register,
Oh, I got to pick one.
and
So I don't know. Early bird.
where is it? There is a way to put that. Uh,
Is there a way? Here, discount code. So let's see if it works. I guess this is the real test,
yep,
right?
social.
Oh, then maybe we need to get that corrected. So
And
we'll make sure this
try
code
try
works
max
at
20.
some point in time.
Yeah.
Max 20?
At least I know max 20 works for
Maybe it's not.
Paris.
Maybe it doesn't work with the early bird. I don't know. What it should be doing, it should be taking
Yeah,
20% off,
I
right,
think
Max?
Rebecca will fix this for us because she definitely told us social was supposed to
Yeah.
work. Yeah, maybe it's social in
Yeah.
lowercase. Maybe. I don't know if you tried.
Yeah, it didn't work. Uh, I'd say maybe use mine. I think mine worked. Yeah, all right. Mine worked at some point in time. Yeah, you could use mine if you
Oh,
want for the San
yours
Francisco
works.
one. I don't know. Yeah, that's weird. But we should get the
Yeah,
social one working at
Rebecca
some point in time. So if
Rebecca
you
just
use that,
confirmed in the
maybe.
chat that she will fix this. So social, all uppercase should be working, right?
I think so. Yeah. So yeah, just try that by the end of today, and it'll probably
At,
probably be good. And you'll
at
get a
least
nice
you have the
discount
Nick
on it.
Raboy for now. If really you are in a hurry to order,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. If you are, go for it. It's up to you. But yeah, definitely come to one of these events.
And for
It's gonna be a lot of
Paris,
fun.
you have
Anything
max
else you want to
20.
plug?
So max 20 works definitely. Yeah.
Definitely for Paris. Got it. Um, anything else we want to plug on? This is going to be. Oh yeah, yeah. All right. So I just remembered. So in January, starting in January, our streams are no longer going to be on Fridays,
Yep.
right, Max? We are looking at moving them to Thursday.
Hopefully it won't have too much collision with other meetings and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. If it turns out to be no good, maybe people prefer not Thursdays at the same time. We'll work on a different date that works for
Yep,
everyone.
sure. So we will. I think we did already.
But
Did we publish the? I think we did publish.
yeah, I think it's on. I
Yeah, on
think
the
it's on
main
the main
page. I think we
page.
published the schedule on the main page. Let me check this.
Main page of Twitch. I'm looking at my tablet here. It says, yeah, we have
Cool.
a schedule.
So if we have to update the
Um,
schedule, we will update it there on that page, so everybody knows. And tweet about it as usual.
yeah, definitely. And then what's your Twitter handle,
My
Max?
Twitter handle is mbeugnet. I'm gonna type it in. I'm gonna link it actually directly in the chat.
Yeah, if you can add mine too. Mine's just N Raboy, so first initial and then last
Let me
name
do that.
for myself.
So that's mine.
And our next stream, I think, is on. What are we looking at? The 9th of January is when our next stream comes on.
I guess I think it. Yeah, 9th of January. That's what you say?
Yeah, I think so because we're all disappearing for
Yeah,
for the
definitely.
holidays.
Uh,
I think that's all that I have, Max. You got anything
so
else?
Thursday at 5 p.m. GMT. I think that's correct, Nafo. Yeah, I think that's it. Is it 5
Yeah.
p.m. or 6 p.m.? Yeah, I think it's 5 p.m. GMT and 6 p.m. UTC plus one, right? Because that's there is plus one in Paris. So yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah. Follow the channel and you'll get a notification. Worst case scenario.
Oh, by the way, I could change.
And look out for
If
our
you switch
tweets.
your camera, you can see your camera now. Switch to the default
Oh, all right.
random stream view, right? How cool is that?
All right. Yeah. So I mean, thanks for joining this channel. I mean, if you have anything you'd like to see us go over, uh, leave comments. Ping us on social media. We want to try to make things
Oh yeah,
interesting
we
for
can
everyone.
definitely explore new stuff or different things we're not used to do. As well, even if it's something we don't know, maybe we can just figure this out live, just like a few things we did today.
Yeah. Why not?
Maybe get it prepared a little, but yeah, it's a live coding, it's live show, so anything can happen. We never know. So yeah,
All right. Have a nice winter holiday for anyone who's going to
yep.
be on holiday. Until
Until
next
next
time.
time. See you, Nick. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Max.